Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever you may be listening to this here podcast. I just want to say, have a blessed day. Thank God for another day. Thank God that you woke up clothing your right mind, use activities, your limbs. Today, I wanted to get on here to talk about forgiveness. I know when I talked about how this man, I was in an abusive relationship. When I was in an abusive relationship, the man was controlling me. I didn't have no say so, no control. He controlled everything about me, my thoughts, everything he controlled. And I allowed it to happen because I didn't know what else to do. Was too afraid to speak up, to defend myself. Whatever he wanted, I gave him. Whatever he said I was going to do, I did. Regardless of what it was, I did it. I didn't have no say so in what was done to me. But after I left this abusive lifestyle that I was in, I had to forgive him because long as you hold on to the hurt and you don't forgive him, he's still controlling you. You have to learn to forgive. I'm not saying it will be easy. I'm not saying that you get out of this relationship it's all good. Yeah, I forgave him. It's all. I'm not saying that because it's going to take time because it took me time. I was in this relationship. I was in this abusive relationship for a while. So the forgiveness didn't come overnight. Didn't come within months or days. I thought about it. I held on to it. I cried about it. And I wouldn't, I didn't feel that I should forgive him because he hurt me. Why should I forgive him and he hurt me? He should be telling me, I apologize for what I did to you. He should say, I was wrong for what I did. And please forgive me. I need you to. No, I don't think even if he would have said that, I would have said, okay, um, I forgive you. I don't think that it would have happened. It took time. I had to first forgive me. I had to forgive myself. You say, well, that doesn't make any sense. What did you do wrong? You know, Sometimes when you're holding on to the abuse, when you're thinking about it, and I thought about it a lot. I thought about what I went through a lot. Even though I didn't talk about it to nobody, I thought about it a lot. I held all men as abusers. I didn't trust no man. Even though when I got in a relationship with this here minister, I thought I trusted him. I thought all was good until when he sent that letter, put that card underneath my door. When he said he didn't love me, didn't want to marry me. And then that side of me came forth. So sometimes we may, sometimes we think that once we get out of this abusive relationship, all is good, all is well. We've forgiven him, and it's that doesn't happen because I was like I said, I was in this relationship for a long time, and I was abused a lot. So that abuse, that abusive woman, I carried her. I laid down with her. I woke up with her. I went through the day with her. I ate. I shopped. I did everything with this woman that was inside of me, this woman that was hurting because I didn't know how to talk to no one about it. Sometimes when you're in an abusive relationship, you know, you are so ashamed of what I was so ashamed of what went on in this lifestyle. I didn't know how to forgive him. I didn't know how to let it go. I wanted him to experience the sadness that I felt, what I was feeling. I wanted him to feel every bitterness, every hate, every stress, every low self esteem, everything. I wanted him to feel that. So I put all men in that category as their goal was to hurt. And so that's how I looked at men. Because of what I went through with this one man, I put all men in a basket of eventually they are going to hurt you. Eventually they are going to abuse you. Eventually they're not going to mean any good to you, regardless of what may come out their mouth, how much they say they love you. Eventually it's all a lie. So I carried that. And when you carry something like that for a while, you can't grow. You may think that, everything is okay until it only takes one thing. Maybe somebody may say something about how you look, your hair, whatever. That sadness comes back because you're holding on to, at least I was holding on to the hate that I had for this man. Even though it was my children's, father, I never told them, like I always said, like, I want to make sure that there's, I get a clear understanding. I didn't down my kid's father to them. I didn't feel that was necessary. Why should I have them hating their father? That wouldn't have been nice. I wanted them to love their father. I didn't want them to know there was another side. No, that wouldn't have accomplished anything. That would just increase the bitterness. That would have just, excuse me, made things worse because here I am telling them that their father wasn't this or wasn't that. And I didn't want to do that. I didn't want them to see him like I saw him. I wanted them to see him, to love him. That was their father. He didn't do anything to them. So therefore, I didn't feel it was necessary. It was right for me to disrespect him, talk about him to the children. That wouldn't accomplish nothing. That would make them, many of my daughters, look at men as, or if that happened to my mom, that's going to happen to me. If my dad did that to my mom, I don't want him around me. I hate him. I want him to go away and never come back. So therefore, I didn't want my children to think that way of their father. So I didn't talk about what I went through. They didn't see it. They didn't know it, and I made sure I wasn't going to tell them. So that's why I say you have to learn to forgive. And once you learn how to forgive, you know, it takes, you telling yourself, I got to forgive him. 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 And like I said, it's not easy. It is not easy. It was not easy for me because every time I said I need to forgive him, I thought about, well, he did this. I need to forgive him. And I thought about, he did that. I need to forgive him. And I said, no, he hurt me. I need to forgive him. Why should I forgive him? As long as I held on, he was controlling me. Even though we weren't together, by me holding on to what, by me not forgiving him, he was controlling me because, I wasn't going to forgive him. So it took time. But with God's help, I was able to forgive him. With God's help, I was able to let it go, talk about it, grow from what I went through, learn from what I went through. So you have to learn to forgive the abuser. Once you get out of that relationship, you got to forgive him. I never knew what caused him to abuse me. I never knew what it was. And what didn't make any sense for me to talk to him about it. Because he would have said, you know. He would have still blamed me. So, we have to learn, single woman, we have to learn how to forgive. Take it one day at a time. Say, Lord, I need to forgive and let this go. I need to walk in forgiveness for what was done to me. I need to forgive. Because as long as I don't forgive, I'm being controlled. And I thank God that I was able to let go of the hurt, the bitterness, the anger, the frustration. I was able to build my self-esteem up because I didn't have any. I was able to encourage myself because I couldn't. I was able to walk forward because I couldn't. Once I started to say, I forgive, I wasn't able to tell him face to face, but I spoke his name and said, such and such, I forgive you for everything you did to me. I forgive you. And once I said that, the Lord started working on me. I started seeing things about myself that I didn't realize was even there. I could look in the mirror and tell myself how beautiful I was, how awesome I was. I'm going to do good. I'm going to go forward. I'm going to be an awesome woman, a single woman that's going to help somebody else. But I had to build my self-esteem up. I couldn't do this podcast years ago because I couldn't have been no help because that bitterness and that anger and that frustration and that sadness, that loneliness, that hate was still there. Even though I was out of that relationship, even though I wasn't in this here abusive relationship anymore, the abuse was still in my mind, my heart, my soul, my spirit. I didn't want men to touch me. I didn't want men to say anything to me because I didn't trust them. And I had to get out of that mindset because long as you are in that mindset, once you get out of the abuse and you have to take steps, baby steps, but you have to take those steps for healing. I needed to be healed on the inside. I needed to be healed in my mind. I needed to be healed. And I had to take steps towards healing because long as I held on to it, I wasn't going to be healed, helped, delivered, and I couldn't be, excuse me, a blessing, a help to nobody else, no other single woman. So I had to take those steps and saying, I'm going to let this go. I'm going to go forward. I'm going to be a blessing, a help, I'm going to be a listening ear. I'm going to be that encourager. I'm going to be that lifter up. I'm going to be that single woman that could talk to another single woman and say, you can do it. You can get out of this relationship. You can learn to love again, to love yourself. You have to start on yourself first. You have to start loving yourself. And then you have to say, you know what? I forgive him. I forgive him. Because once you do that, then there's another single woman you can tell and explain to that individual what the steps you did to be able to forgive this individual that abused you. So remember, if anything I could leave to you today would be forgive. Forgive your abuser. Forgive him. Because he felt he was right and he took you through. But you have to remember, once you get out, he's no longer in control if once you forgive and take those steps in forgiving. Have a forgiving heart. Forgiving. Forgive the abuser. Forgiving. Once you forgive the abuser, you could take steps in being healed. But if you hold on to that anger, that bitterness, you're not going to be able to grow or help anyone else. So let this, be the day of your steps of being going forth and forgiving your abuser. Forgive yourself. Forgive your abuser. Take them steps and go forward. And remember, God loves you. God understands. God knows. God is there holding you, comforting you. Be blessed and know that I love you and I'm here and I will be the encourager, the individual single woman that say, you can make it because I have made it and I'm able to help another single woman. Have a blessed day. Awesome, magnificent single woman. Be blessed. And thank you for taking time to listen.